You are listening to the Two and Out CFL podcast, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
Grab some poutine and a double-double. It's time for the Two and Out CFL podcast.
He's got it! Oh, baby!
Every week, Travis Currah.
That's Grey Cup me, which is a different person.
And Brazilian Tide.
Hunters are people too.
Talk fantasy football, bring you the latest in CFL news, and sprinkle in a little bit of nonsense.
Oh, nearly intercepted! It is! And it's over!
Ready, set, hunt!
Thanks for pressing play on this episode of the Two and Out CFL podcast. I'm Travis Currah. Sheldon Jones is here with me today. A little bit of a different start to the show. There may be some new eyeballs, some new ears listening to the show. I was recently on an episode of Real Talk with Ryan Jesperson, a talk show based out of Edmonton. And recently they had a segment where they were talking about the struggles of the Edmonton Elks, and rightfully so. It's a big news story. It seems to be crossing out of the sports realm, out of the Canadian football realm, and people are talking about this home losing streak and the struggles with that team this year. And they were talking about if the CFL was dying, if it's going to be meeting its demise, and that they added that it wasn't entertaining. And I ended up writing into the show. And, over the past couple years, I've kind of made it my philosophy to ignore the trolls that talk about the CFL being trash and all that. And why talk about it on a CFL podcast? If you press play, I'm willing to bet that you're a fan of the CFL and you want to see it succeed. So it's really wasting my energy and wasting your time. But I wrote into the show. They invited me on the show, which was really cool. And, I get to present my side of things, my passion for the game, why I think it's going nowhere. And it was really cool. And there's been a lot of really cool words being thrown my way from people that I know from inside the CFL family, so to speak, and some CFL fans that I haven't heard from before. So if you're coming to this show for the first time, welcome. We don't always talk about existential crises with the league. We just talk about the damn games. We don't really take it all too seriously all the time, because what is the fun in that? But Sheldon, you're in Regina. It seems like we always talk about the league is dying, and maybe that's a social media sensationalism at work. But I mean, people were mad at the Riders last year with how things were going, the lack of discipline, the stupid things happening on the field, the high Grey Cup ticket prices. So people, even though they paid for them, they just decided not to show up. And tickets this year not moving as much as we've seen in the past in Regina. I just chalk it up to not really being sure what this team is, not really being sure what kind of product they're going to be consistently putting on the field. But that shiny new, it's not so new anymore, but it costs a lot of money to go to games now. I really don't think, and the Riders are still profitable. Let's be clear. Like, if people want Reynolds out as the president of the team, he's still making them money. So I guess that's the name of the game. Are you worried about anything? I mean, of course we can do things better, but are you worried?
I don't know if I'm worried. Like, it's not like we're a telethon booming.
Yeah.
But I'm worried for Edmonton. I legitimately am. I'm worried that they're not going to be able to keep this community-based team. Like, I think somebody private needs to come in and kind of save it. But no, I'm not worried. The CFL has lasted as long as it has because of its hardcore fans. It's just the hardcore fans have a lot less disposable income right now. And while I believe they are starting to do some things to attract some newer fans, they need to be better at it. But I wouldn't say I'm worried, and I'm a pretty pessimistic person. So, but I'm not worried. I work across the street from the stadium. I see it every day. I can't imagine my life without CFL football. So not willing to go there. So
I think we need to remember that Taylor Field, I think it only hold 29 and change, right?
yes,
So we got 4,000 more seats in a city of less than 200,000 people. And I think there is this perception that like 75% of people in the stands travel from 6 hours away. That's not how it is. And maybe a lot of those people can't afford to go anymore. Gas prices suck now, man. And ticket prices are a lot of money. So that's a big commitment. That's a big money commitment as well. So maybe that's what we're seeing in Regina. But I point to the TV ratings. Look, there are 30,000 people in the stands, but when over 600,000 people watch at home, you can say, oh, well, they're giving money to the, the television cable companies or whatever, but they're watching, man. And that means something. I really believe that means something. When you're beating the Blue Jays in ratings, when you're beating games from last year, when look, I'm passionate about this game. If you're listening to this, you're passionate about it too. You know it, but check out my appearance on Real Talk and see what you thought about my performance. I watched it back and I told my wife, well, damn, I sucked. I could have been a lot better, but maybe I'll get another opportunity to go on there one day. We'll get something positive in here. The plans being unveiled for the 110th Grey Cup in Hamilton. This looks like a great time. They got it in 2021. It was like right as Omicron was was happening. So it was a scaled down Grey Cup. And this year, I don't know. This stuff looks awesome. They've got some walkable festivals. They're spreading out to Niagara Falls. They're doing shuttles between Niagara and Hamilton. They're doing the CFL awards in Niagara Falls. All of this stuff looks fantastic. I'm happy that the Hammer is getting their second Grey Cup in a few years after not having it for over 20. Looking forward to getting back to the Hammer in November and seeing a full-blown Grey Cup to its full potential with the good people of Hamilton, Sheldon.
Yeah, no, it looks awesome. It looks like they're having a concert the night before, like an arena concert. So it must be a pretty big. Probably gonna be the Arkells. Let's be honest. But
and why not? Why not?
If anyone hates the Arkells, they don't like music. So, but I'm just—it's like where everyone says Jess Moskaluk or the Sheepdogs for Saskatchewan games.
Yeah.
But no, it looks awesome, and having the Players Awards out in Niagara, that's cool. If hopefully they're affordable tickets for everyone going there, and doesn't cost an arm and a leg, but that backdrop like that'll be awesome.
Yeah, it'll be fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. Back to the negative stuff. And this, it's funny. Hamilton and Edmonton playing each other this week, and Victor Cui is out as the CEO and president of the Edmonton Elks, being reported as a mutually decided decision. But as more comes out, man, and it is social media stuff. You don't know how much stock you want to put into it. But when at the press conference they say they want to respect privacy of all those involved, and former employees of the organization saying that this doesn't surprise them that the work environment wasn't all that good under Victor in Edmonton. A bit surprising for me to hear. I'm not working in the organization. His public facing persona was great, and I thought fans across the CFL were big fans of Victor and the energy he brought to that organization and the CFL. But when the team loses and loses and loses, it's tough to attract butts to seats. And then obviously stuff going on behind the scenes just meant that the relationship had to end.
Yeah, I think it's a where there's smoke, there's fire kind of situation here, but it's bad. From all, like you said, from all outside appearances, Victor Cui was nothing but great for the league, nothing but great for the team. His marketing was awesome. He had like the singles night thing on the field.
Yeah.
He had the guaranteed win night. Like he was working his ass off, it seemed, to try to get that fan base to buy in. And on an 0-9 team, they still were. Like, people were still going to the games. I know there was a couple sections that kept going for free because they weren't winning, but still, that's butts in seats. That's somebody buying a hot dog, a beer. It's a sad, sad day. Like, you asked me before if I think the CFL's dying, and I say no, but it's a
Yeah.
blow. It's a huge blow. I know, like, I saw people in the CFL family who every single one of them at one point were like, I wish Victor Cui was our team president.
I know. I know.
And when you're a Rider fan and you are not happy with your team president, and I was one of those people because, like you said, Craig Reynolds is obviously making the Riders money.
Yeah.
Having the Grey Cup helped, but we're needing a change here, I think, in that position. And it's almost like, wow, Victor Cui's available maybe, but want him now because of what we're hearing about this behind the scenes stuff. It's not.
There was a time when 500 was acceptable in Saskatchewan. 500 has never been acceptable in Edmonton. And then 9 games under 500 is an absolute travesty in Edmonton. So something obviously needed to change. And the press conference, they said Jones is solid. However, if they let go of him now, they only need to pay him for 1 more year. That was another piece of information that came out of this whole thing. So I'm guessing they give him to the end of next year. They're going to be, and if things don't improve, they'll be paying him for that 4th year, whether he's with them or not. So there is a chance here. Now, hear me out. Just look at the standings here. If Edmonton wins this game in Hamilton, which I think a lot of people are picking Edmonton, it's a bit of a disrespectful position to Hamilton as they are coming off the bye. And we've seen teams come off the bye this year and smash opposing teams. So that's an interesting thing there. But then next weekend, Ottawa traveling to Commonwealth Stadium. Hey, if Edmonton plays a complete 4 quarters, they could win that. Then they got the back-to-back with Calgary. Calgary's not exactly dominant right now. They're 1-4 at home. Edmonton could steal a game there. But Saskatchewan's 4-5. They play the Lions this week. And then they play Winnipeg back-to-back. And then they play Edmonton. There is a chance, Sheldon. No, Saskatchewan has a season series already with Edmonton. But this could be a completely different conversation in 6 weeks.
Oh, yeah, it could. Yes. I have nothing else to say other than that because I'm fully expecting.
It's just what I see happening.
And I don't expect us to win either of the games against the Bombers. So then we're sitting at 4-10. No. Yeah.
When does the axe fall on
the
Craig?
Eastern possibility. Let's put it this way. If O'Day wants to save his job, it needs to happen next week. If he doesn't want to save his job and he's going to ride out in the sunset with him, they're both going to be gone at the end of the year. But if O'Day wants to have a chance to, because he hasn't actually got to hire his own head coach. So if the Riders lose and it's bad, which we all kind of think it's going to happen this Sunday, the bye week is the perfect time to get rid of a coach. You see what Shivers can do for the rest of the year as the interim head coach. And then if you're O'Day, you can at least say to Craig Reynolds and the board of directors, hey, I haven't had a chance to get my own guy here. I was hand-tied with Craig Dickinson because of Chris Jones and the way he left. So give me a chance to hire my own guy. That's honestly the only way I see a completely non-new regime next year. And if Reynolds allows them to get to the point where they're searching for a GM and a head coach, he still deserves to be gone too. Like, it's injuries are obviously the
Yeah.
main factor, I think, in Ryderville, as well as some suspect play calling and
Yeah.
suspect decisions. But again, everything falls under the coach. For the players, everything falls into the quarterback, right? And our quarterback is hurt, so we can't really blame him right now, right? So it's got to happen this week, or it doesn't happen.
Watch them
And
beat BC. It's like
no,
he's
I'm
just
worried
gonna.
we're gonna limp into the playoffs, win a game in the playoffs, then get our ass kicked, and then he's gonna be like, "Oh, let's keep it going. We made it to the play." Like,
Yeah.
just cut the head off and let's start fresh.
The Ticats
Oh,
are 5.5-point favorites over the Edmonton Elks, even though there is some buzz surrounding the Elks right now. And look what happened last week, getting up to a 22-0 lead on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And then Zach Collaros goes down, and then the Bombers hit them with 4 touchdown passes and 300 yards passing. They've done that for 4 consecutive games, the 300 yards passing. They haven't done that since 2007. They also did it in 1994. The high-flying Blue Bomber offense is back, but Edmonton allowed it to happen with Drew Brown, which is, I think, just the way everyone had that game script drawn up, right?
100%. 100%. That's why I had Drew Brown and fan names.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Edmonton, it was like they were the prom queen. They got to the prom, and then they were 1-minute men, and then everything went out the window. They got too excited, and who can blame you? You're 0-8 going in there.
Yeah.
You shut out twice, and in the first quarter, you're up like 21-0. Like, you got a little premature celebration there, and then I think they took the foot off the gas, and then they found out what happened. But again, good coaches don't let that happen. But
Well,
everyone
that's
got
it.
excited.
It seems to be clockwork. The Elks are competitive in the first half. Third quarter rolls around, and then everything just it hits the fan. It just completely falls apart.
Chris Jones does not make adjustments. Chris Jones does he always wants to prove himself right. He always wants to, no, we'll win my way, damn it.
Right.
He's never really been an adjustment guy. When he was in Saskatchewan, he didn't really that was one thing that we were pissed off about all the time, is that there was never any second half adjustments. So I think that if they can get off to a head start here again, like another, touchdown on the first drive, make a big defensive stop, I think playing against a weaker team like Hamilton, they wouldn't have that happen to them again. But who knows?
Well, let's look at last year for the Elks. They opened the season 0-3. They go to Hamilton. Trey Ford gets the start. Elks win 29-25. Are we here again with Trey Ford making the start in Hamilton? He had success there last year. He had success against Winnipeg last week. He called out Chris Jones, well, basically the play callers, by saying we were too conservative with the play calling in the second half. Jones told him to stay in his lane. I love those sort of honest interviews from players. We don't see it enough. And then you kind of get hammered down by the coach after that. But you kind of get where both of them are coming from, I guess. I wonder if there was some tension behind the scenes before Trey ever got the opportunity to lead the team. But him leading the team is great for the CFL. Like, over 600,000 people watched that game. I hate to harp on that, but that's a fantastic number. People want to see Trey Ford succeed, and people want to see the Elks either win or lose. Like, how long can the streak go? And then if they win, you're witnessing the end of this crazy streak. So I don't know. The buzz surrounding the team, to me, it's very impressive. I don't know how they keep it up, but they do.
Oh, I know. And I haven't looked at the numbers, but when was the last time a game on TSN that did not include the Rough Riders in the regular season had 600,000 people watching it?
Yeah.
Probably not very many. Maybe Bomber games, but
There's been good
you're right.
numbers
Like,
this year. Yeah.
but that's because this year has been that crazy. Like any team can win at any given time, it seems.
Yeah.
Other than
you're spotted a 22-point lead and then it melts away.
Yeah. No, but like honestly, like Vernon Adams has had a game where he throws 6 picks and he looks like the guy that everyone keeps ragging on him. And then he goes and he plays lights out the next week and destroys. Like, it just seems like this is what we as fans want. We want parity. I know everyone wants to be a Bomber fan and go be perennial contenders and blah, but no, as fans, we just want entertaining football. We want to feel like our team can win any game, but it's not fun if your team wins every game. It's not fun if your team loses every game. But if there's parity, that's when it's fun, because then people who don't have any dog in the fight, they watch the game because they're like, oh, who can win?
Yeah. Even my wife says she'd rather win the Grey Cup like in a close game because then it's exciting to the end. And I say no. I would rather win by 56 points.
Grey Cup's different. Like I understand Taylor's logic there, but when we were in 2013 and we were we knew we won that game. Like no, we were nervous obviously, but I knew we were winning it when Sheets fumbled and it went right into Durant's hands and he kept going the other way around. But we knew we were going to win that game. But a game that comes down to a last second field goal when maybe there's a penalty.
Yeah.
I don't want.
My blood pressure can't handle it. Darren Flutie is going to be added to the wall of honor in this game in the Hammer. Taylor Powell set to get the start at quarterback. And for Edmonton, Geno Lewis is available for the Elks. So Trey Ford getting a very capable receiver, to say the very least, to throw to in Hamilton. If you do look at the injury report, the Elks going to be without Luchez Purifoy. He's got a calf injury, hasn't practiced all week, but hey, bringing back the likes of Geno Lewis. I know he's on the offense, but that'll be good for the Elks. If you look at the Ticats, Chris Van Zyl has been out. He's kind of been dealing with injuries the last few years of his career. Kyle Saxlid, also on the offensive line, is questionable with a knee injury. Terry Godwin is doubtful. The receiver that's had some successful games for the Ticats, he's got an illness going on. Could see receiver Anthony Johnson get into the lineup there. But Joel Figueroa on the O-line also hurt. This game, like Dylan Wynn, he's practicing in full for the Ticats. If he plays on the D-line, that'll be big because the Elks O-line has been up and down this year. This game, man, I see it going either way, but neither of these teams can afford to get off to a good start and then just lay off the gas, because we've seen it happen to both of them. And not only is Chris Jones' seat warming up a little bit, Orlando Steinauer's seat is warming up as well in Hamilton as the Ticats are 3-5. Friday Night Football at McMahon Stadium. The Calgary Stampeders are 5.5-point underdogs against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The over-under is 47.5, as the Stamps are going to be marking, I guess, the 25th anniversary of that 1998 championship team. Sheldon, Jeff Garcia, the starting quarterback, Dave Dickinson, the backup.
The good old days when we still hated the Stamps. Yep. Yeah, I remember.
But like, actually, just think about the quarterbacks in the last 30 years just in the two Alberta teams.
Yeah.
I think that is really the root of sort of what has been going on the last couple of years. Like they had this pipeline of just endless like sometimes the first, the second, and the third stringer were starting caliber. They're not there right now, but look back at that 98 team. They're wild. And you want to talk about starting caliber quarterbacks? Zach Collaros hasn't practiced this week. He's listed as questionable. I'd say that the questionable is a little generous. I do not think that Zach's going to be playing. He's got a neck injury. And Drew Brown proved last week against Edmonton he can get it done. So it's tough to read sometimes what Mike O'Shea's going to do. I think he trusts his veteran guys that if they feel ready to go, even if they haven't practiced, he'll allow them to play. But this feels like a week off for Zach.
Oh, I wouldn't play Zach at all. Like, it's not worth it. We saw what Drew Brown is able to do, and Calgary is a less of an opponent. Like, they're not that good. So I would certainly be rolling with Brown there, because it's a night where you're not going up against the top tier with BC and Toronto and Winnipeg. That's what I would kind of consider the top tier right now. So you're playing against a middle tier team at home where they've been struggling, and there's going to be an extended halftime. So they're going to come out a little cold maybe in the second half there. Like, this is a game where you just don't play Zach, in my opinion.
But then again, those same Calgary Stampeders ended the undefeated streak for the Toronto Argonauts recently. So
They did.
What do we get from those Stampeders? Jake Mayer, though he hasn't really gotten it done. I guess against Saskatchewan, he had some nice performances. He had a nice performance against Ottawa in a losing effort. But the turnovers, the poor decision making from him, it did not go well against the Lions last week, and he's going to be in tough against Willie Jefferson and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at home this week. The Stamps do get a little bit of help. A defensive back, Shaq Richardson, is back in town. He's a former Stampeder. He was last with the Toronto Argonauts last year, won the Grey Cup against the Bombers. If we look at the injury report so far this week between the Bombers and the Stampeders, other than Zach, the Bombers right now look very healthy, which I don't know how. It's like we talk about this team getting older or slowing down. Normally, as you age, you probably get hurt more. I sleep wrong and I'm down for 10 days. But these Bombers, they're playing great ball. They're healthy for the most part, and Calgary has some injury issues themselves, including wide receiver Clark Barnes dealing with a knee injury. He has been ruled out for the Friday nighter, and also Canadian receiver Cole Tucker is dealing with a foot injury. He's been ruled out for the game as well. But it all comes down to quarterback. Can they protect Jake Mayer, and can they establish some consistency on offense? Because they sure did not do that against the BC Lions last week when they lost 37-9. 136 passing yards between Chris Reynolds and Jake Mayer. Getting Kadeem Carey back, giving him 7 carries, over 6 yards a carry was good, but they're going to need a lot more of that to win against Winnipeg. Montreal Alouettes, 2.5-point favorites, going to Ottawa, where the over-under is at 47.5. Now, I just look at Ottawa, man. The biggest concern there is that passing defense. How do they limit other quarterbacks and other offenses? The stats are not good. They're giving up 326 pass yards a game. They're averaging 10.2 yards a completion. They've given up 15 passing touchdowns. Those are last in the CFL. But will Cody Fajardo be playing for the Alouettes? It could be Caleb Evans again. But the Alouettes had success against Saskatchewan. And the quarterback did not have to do much. In fact, they almost had to do nothing. Caleb Evans, 8 of 13 for 149 yards. He did have 66 rushing yards and 2 rushing TDs in a 41-12 win. Caleb playing his old team in the Ottawa RedBlacks. He might have a few things to prove on Saturday evening.
Yeah, this is a similar situation to Winnipeg. Like, if you're Jason Moss, you just give Cody another week. Evans looked good against the Riders, so there's no reason to say why he couldn't look good against Ottawa. Is Ottawa's run defense still tops though? Like, because they're pretty solid
good against the run. Yeah.
So that's the one thing going against Montreal is they still really haven't been able to get Stanbeck going. I know a little bit better in the past few weeks, but I roll with Caleb Evans, and because the same situation is.
Yeah, that's what I think they'll do. Stanback practicing in full this week, dealing with a hip issue. Walter Fletcher got the start against Saskatchewan. Christian Matt, the offensive lineman, has in practice this week. And an interesting situation to watch here is Austin Mack dealing with an ankle issue. Practiced Tuesday, didn't practice Wednesday. And, of course, Keon Julian Grant hurt as well for the Alouettes. So who's going to step up if Mack misses the game as the number one threat in that receiving game for the Alouettes? That'll be something to watch. Tyler Snead, I think he had a hat trick of touchdowns earlier in the year. Could he be an option for the Alouettes against the Ottawa RedBlacks? As for the RedBlacks, it always has to come down to forcing Dustin Crum to beat you with his arm, right? And he did all right against Toronto. He had 3 passing touchdowns against Toronto. But the thing is, when the defense is unable to limit what Chad Kelly was able to do, 4 passing touchdowns, 417 yards. Dustin Crum had a good game through the air, 21 of 26, 292, 3 touchdowns. That's about what you want for your quarterback. And he also had 157 yards to Jalen Acklin and a touchdown in my fantasy lineup, 151 points last week. I'm in this big CFL Fans Fight Cancer Fantasy League.
Me too.
Best week of the year, someone beats me. I'm like, give me. I feel like I finished second about 4 times this year. Always one person.
I've been hovering around the 69 mark with
nice.
Joe. Yeah, I'm not doing so well. But on the Rider fans pick 'em, like the game.
You're doing good.
Second place. I'll take it. I don't know how.
I'm doing horrible.
Pick'em's my game. Fantasy's not my game. And I don't even have AJ Ouellette to be my captains.
Oh no. Yeah, that's another guy.
Week he's my captain.
Yeah, since the Argos are on bye, I had Mr. Swag Kelly. You know, I wore my Rough Rider shirt to Olympic Stadium for 2 Metallica shows. This guy comes up to me. You should be wearing an Argo hat. Let's go, Swag Kelly. I was like, wow.
That's awesome.
This is a unicorn.
Yeah. Argo fan in the wild. Amazing.
Hey, Swag Kelly is turning some heads, man. Love to see it.
Okay, let's do it.
Saskatchewan Roughriders home to the BC Lions, and the Lions 9.5 point favorites. Vernon Adams Jr. taking all the reps in practice. Defensive lineman Nick Usher has been added to the practice roster for the BC Lions, and the Lions coming off that statement win, I would say, against the Calgary Stampeders last week. And then they get a solid amount of rest traveling to Regina. You'd like to think it's a tough place to play, but man, Vernon Adams Jr. last week, 4 touchdown passes, 322 yards. They didn't really need to run the ball. Taquan Mizell had 12 carries for 42 yards, so I guess Calgary did all right in that department. Saskatchewan will do all right in that department as well. But the matchup here is Jake Dolegala and the Saskatchewan Roughrider offense with Mason Fine hurt. How can they generate anything against the Lions defense?
I don't know.
I think that's the clip. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the title. I don't know. Best case scenario, BC has a trap game.
Yeah.
I don't remember ever being on the receiving end of a trap game as a Rider fan. We're certainly on the giving end of a trap game. But I don't have any faith in the offense right now. I have faith in the defense to keep it close for the first 3 quarters until they get tired after all the 2 and outs. But we need that Mario Alfred 2 touchdown performance and a couple defensive scores for this game to stay close, I think, just because it's just Vernon Adams he's the real deal. He may have a bad game every now and then, but he is the real deal, and they have so many weapons in their offense, and they have crazy players on D line that it's going to be a rough night at the office for the Riders, I think.
Well, if you remember the last time these two teams played, Jamal Morrow had 12 carries for 11 yards.
Mm-hmm.
They need to get the darn ball moving on the ground. I understand it's tough against a team like the Lions, but that has to be a major focus. If you can't run it, and look, I know people are they're excited. They're getting their wish in Saskatchewan. Jake Dolegala is going to get the start, and some of them wanted him to start over Mason Fine anyway. 6'7", dynamite arm. Will he have the time to make the right decisions and make the right throws? Keon Schaefer-Baker does look like he will be playing. He's been practicing in full, so that obviously would be an amazing addition to the Rough Rider offense. And I've become a fan of is it Stearns? Jairus Third? Oh, my lisp means I just can't say it. But I put him in my
fantasy. Gary Stearns, but it's Stearns.
Okay, there we go. Jareth Stearns. There we go. I had him in my lineup last week. He was $2,500, and he got 4 catches for 41 yards. The week before against Ottawa, he had 7 catches for 71 yards. So look, $4,500. I expect the Riders to be playing from behind. Maybe they throw the ball his way, or Schaefer-Baker's way, or whoever's way, to try to make things happen against the Lions.
What they need to do, it's kind of like, it's no different than what Trey Ford said in Edmonton. They need to open up the playbook here. They can't, ever since Harris got hurt, Jeffrey's been calling a very, very, very vanilla playbook. And I get it, these guys are backups, but the teams know what how to defend against a vanilla playbook. So they need to start throwing some misdirection. They need to fake some sweeps. They just need to be not predictable. And there was a lot of hesitation, I think, in Ryderville when he was first signed, but also a little bit of optimism, I think, because he was an unknown, right? Like he didn't have this wealth of CFL experience, but some fresh meat into the coaching staff is kind of what people are wanting. But he hasn't really been great. He's been average at best, I think, in his calls. So he needs to open it up. He needs to just trust his quarterback. And if you throw a couple picks because you're trying to go downfield, then it's just like a punt. Get your defense out there, get a stop, get them to punt it back to you. Like you got to roll the dice when you got your third string quarterback in there.
Desperate times in
exactly.
Rider Nation. Anthony Lanier early in the practice week hasn't practiced. That would be a big loss to the defensive line for the Riders. Fullback Albert Awachi also hasn't practiced. He's dealing with a knee issue right now, but otherwise it seems like the Riders, they're sort of getting healthy here at a decent time. I know they're without some key pieces on the offensive line that they would have liked from the beginning of the year. Like Philip Blake, the veteran there, that's a big loss, but getting some pieces back. And now it's put up or shut up time for the Rough Riders. If they steal a win against the Lions with the third string quarterback, then yeah, it is wacko season in the Canadian Football League, and I am here for it. There's a reason why the Lions are almost 10-point favorites here Sunday night in Regina. Your fantasy lineup, what are you looking like this week?
I gotta pull it up here one second.
I'll run through mine right now. I'm going with a bomber heavy lineup. Drew Brown, Brady Oliveira, and Nick Dembski are going to be the centerpieces of my fantasy lineup this week. I've got James Butler. The Elks' run defense has struggled. I expect they'll hand it off to him for Taylor Powell, or Taylor Powell might be throwing him the ball too. So that's what I'm going with at running back. I'm going with Jalen Acklin again. He worked for me last week. I'm going with Stearns for the Riders again. Worked for me last week. Don't fix what's broke. And I'm taking that BC Lions defense. I think I had $700 left over.
So I'm also going with Brown. I have Derek Mills and Butler as my running backs. I got Lucky Whitehead and Keon Hatcher as my receivers.
Wow.
Whichever one Marshall's covering will give me a touchdown at least. And then I got Stearns as my flex as well. And then I'm going with the Ottawa defense. I have 2,000. Yeah, I have $2,000 left over just in case Claris does play. Then I can swap out Drew Brown for Dolagala. I guess I don't.
If
somebody else cheap,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
If I look at the Canadian Football Podcast Fantasy League this week, who am I against? I'm against Adam from Canadian Football Countdown. He's a little bit worried. If I look at the stats this year, I'm only 6-4. Adam, if I look his way, he's 4-6. I need a win. I need a win. I am first in points scored, but 5th in the league. Fix is in, man. That's what I like to say. Yeah. Fix is in. Who you picking to win the games? I got Edmonton, Winnipeg, Montreal, BC.
Yeah, road sweep. Yep, I do too.
Same. A road sweep.
Yep.
Wow.
Home teams aren't the home team. Like they don't have the crazy record. So, and I think that's only really looking for one upset, right? And
yeah.
I think the Hamilton Edmonton game is a coin flip, like we were saying before. So, I think a road sweep is going to happen.
Well, Mr. Jones, I think you've got some pizza to eat. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show to get us ready for week 11 already. Labor Day right around the corner, which is always fun, no matter how crappy or how good your team is when Labor Day rolls around.
Yep. The fun times other than the game. No, it'll be
You can rate, review, and subscribe to Two and Out in your favorite podcatcher. Check us out on YouTube as well. Leave it a comment if you want to see my ruggedly handsome face and Sheldon's beautiful mullet, man. Do not shave that.
okay. I won't.
If you shave anything, you should shave down to a handlebar mustache.
I can't, like, I don't know if you can
Okay,
see, but I
just
can't
the
cut my
mustache then.
ear. I can't rock a duster. I'm not Tyrell.
The ginger duster? I don't know. I think it'll look good.
We'll see you next Wednesday. Who knows?
All right, man. I'm looking forward to it. Enjoy week 11 of CFL action. The league is here to stay, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.